Hi, I'm Ravikiran, CEO of Numocity Technologies, a serial entrepreneur and a Bangalore-based innovator working on several software and technology products. Electric vehicle industry is in a stage of transformation. A lot of changes happening, a lot of industries, verticals coming together to make EV industry work. So this is where Numocity comes in. Numocity in a way offers solutions for all the charge point operators who manage energy infrastructure, auto OEMs who manage all the vehicle batteries, battery OEMs, and also interface with fleets, because EV business case is all about managing ROI using the new age electric vehicles. So in summary, Numocity is a pure digital platform which is asset light and work with energy as a service companies to ensure that they have systems to monitor, monetize all their infrastructure and all the equipment they have. When we are managing energy infrastructure, there are several players who need to provide different components for energy as a service business to run. One of the key component of that is the EV charging infrastructure or the hardware which provides electricity to electric vehicles. The other being the software which helps you to manage and monetize the energy infrastructure. ABB is a world leader in providing EV chargers, fast chargers and AC chargers globally, and ABB has been investor in Numocity in our seed round itself. Our partnership and our collaboration starts in a way that wherever you have EV charging infrastructure globally, you need software systems to manage it, and we have a unique opportunity to work together with ABB as a bolt-on product where whenever there is a hardware sale, there is a possibility of having a software to go along with it, or vice versa, where there is a software platform already established, there is an opportunity to work with ABB chargers. ABB being a global leader, we look forward to our investment and partnership in a way that the software products what we have built will now get a global appeal and be able to work in multiple markets. We are looking forward to India, Southeast Asia and Middle East to provide our software solutions along with ABB chargers, so that in totality we are able to offer a unique value proposition to energy as service players or charge point players, so that they get a combined working system which they can very easily deploy and operate. I have spent nearly 27 years developing and working on software products based out of India, and always these were developed for global markets. However, I was working as part of several corporates doing this. As an entrepreneur, my experience has been that we have in India, in cities like Bangalore, the capability and the competence to develop world-class digital products, software products, which will match to products in any other market in terms of quality, in terms of price, in terms of what we conceptualize and what we do. I think our sense right now in the market is a lot of experienced entrepreneurs and experts who have spent a lot of time in the software industry are coming out and starting their companies to develop a very well-defined products which are meeting what customers' problems are. And I think this is a unique opportunity for Indian IT industry, Indian software industry to be able to present these products not just in India but globally, and really have the design to solve every market's problems or every market's need. And our investment by ABB is also a kind of proof of this concept that if you build the world-class product from here, it doesn't matter where you build it, as long as it solves customers' problem, it is meaningful, it is valuable in any market you operate in. And we look forward to the product which is built in India, made in India right now, to be used in any market, and we believe we will create the same value in whichever market we operate in. Ideaspring Capital is a unique fund with deep focus on B2B digital and deep tech products. I think they bring out this uniqueness in the companies they invest in and the way they select those companies. I have known Nagan and Doraswamy and Surya Prakash for a long time as industry veterans. We've been working and interworking with them across various platforms. Once they had started Ideaspring Capital, we've been in touch with them for last 4 years, and knowing that they are an early stage seed capital, once we started our journey into Numocity, we did explore with them the possibility and explain to them the opportunity what we are working on and the problem we are trying to solve. Having experience in telecom and also with IT products, they were able to soon spot the value we are adding into the ecosystem, what value we are bringing in, and they led our seed investment round in 2019, and I think that's been a wonderful journey to start with them. And with entrepreneurs running the fund, they have multiple experience, so they were able to help us through our journey in the last 2.5 years with multiple cases where whether it is a customer case where we want to negotiate few terms with our customers, they've been of help giving us tips on what works, what doesn't work, and what we need to be wary of. I think that is help which really supported us in many large deals which we did and we won in the last few years. Also, another area where we found Ideaspring Capital helping us quite well is their understanding of technology and their understanding of product architecture and how it should be designed. I think this area we had a lot of reviews, lot of brainstorming, lot of exchange of ideas, which helped in what we built, cemented several ideas which led us to this roadmap and which led us to what we built. In summary, if I look at Ideaspring Capital, they are like an extended arm, extended team of every entrepreneur whom they invest. So you can go to them at any point for whatever support, whatever help you need, and I think they have the right expertise, whether it's technology, whether it is about business, whether it is about getting the right connections, or also about further funding. I think across all aspects, they have experience, they know what they are doing, and it's always a pleasure to be working with them and getting their advice in how we do things. Additionally, one other thing also is that they do let entrepreneurs the freedom to operate the way they operate, and being only providing inputs and interventions as necessary. I think that develops a very healthy relationship between the fund and the company, and I think that's something I really like and cherish about working with Ideaspring Capital. So Ideaspring Capital, one, having entrepreneurs experience with B2B platforms as part of the team, and second, with a deep focus on only looking at B2B digital companies and platforms, creates a unique experience for entrepreneurs who are funded by them. So when I look at what journey we were in when we are building our B2B platforms, there is always support and help, because they have gone through the journey and their experiences on every aspect of B2B business, whether, like I said, whether it's about customers or product design or even the challenges we face when we deploy these products on the ground. They've been of great help. So I think the rich experience they carry, having done that, is very different from just providing a theoretical advice. Here we are looking at more practical advices where they know exactly what can go wrong and what challenges can come up, and those insights are very unique and very supportive for every entrepreneur. I think that is something we as Numocity always cherished with Ideaspring Capital. Over the last few years, electric vehicle segment has garnered a lot of interest from all players, because this is seen as the path for clean mobility and clean transportation over the next decade or so. There is, of course, the reason for getting into EV. One, as a country in India, our dependence on oil is extremely high as a percentage of GDP, and we are looking at alternate means of reducing this burden. And EV is one way, because electricity is we are a power surplus country, so we have enough electricity to power many of these electric vehicles. I think that's the assumption with which the market is moving ahead. Also, there is a very clear business case given the energy costs right now for electric vehicle fleets and even retail users. With the ownership of electric vehicle, their total cost of ownership over a period of 5 years is much lower than an IC or internal combustion engine vehicles. So this is the reason where there is a lot of excitement. So in the early years, the last 3-4 years, we have seen that fleets, logistics, last mile, people movement, and also good movement, there is a very clear business case for EVs to be used. Because if any vehicle runs approximately 200 kilometers a day, the electric vehicles can give you a return of investment within a year. With this business logic, there is a lot of adoption of electric vehicles in B2B segment. Retail, if you notice, it has not been so fast adoption because the variety of vehicles and the variety of choices which end consumers have, retail users have, are limited. So with this market evolving and with the government support coming in, you will suddenly notice now a lot of two-wheeler models being launched and also cars being rolled out in the next few years. This will increase the interest in retail users. As you know, when you have more choice, there is more adoption because people then get what they want. I think that's something which they all look forward to. In the next 5 years, with the FAME 2 subsidies and the SOPs being given by different state governments, retail users will increase the adoption of two-wheelers. On the fleets, we will see increased adoption of three-wheelers. Cars, the moment we get more models, longer range vehicles, we will also see an adoption of cars. In public transport, if you know, a lot of public transports across states have already moved to electric buses. And I think that's a very wise decision because for passenger movement, EVs will have a lot of value add. As a startup entrepreneur, the first thing you need to be clear and discover is the problem you are trying to solve and whose problem you are trying to solve. So the moment you know the customer and the customer problem and how you are going to solve through your own products or solutions or services which you offer, I think the market understanding starts to come in. So we have seen in our journey that the more we work in the market, the better the understanding of the problem was. And once we started getting that is where you start looking for more funds, because in the early stages, you get your product solution print, you know what you need to solve, but very soon you'll realize that you need capital. So you start to look around what kind of capital you need, and that is where different kind of investors you get in the market, and you need to evaluate, and as an entrepreneur, you need to make a choice what investors do you need. So there are angel investors, early seed investors when you're starting off, and at that stage, for me as a choice is that the fund you choose should be able to understand what you're working on, and they should be able to support you and guide you in that journey. There are a lot of investors who are probably only financial investors. They are good in your journey, but beyond the capital, they may not be able to help you in your product solution fit in the early stages. So I think my choice always is a seed fund or a fund which has experience in your area, which has experience in what you're doing. So in our case, when we started building around B2B products, for us Ideaspring Capital was a natural choice because they had that understanding, and we would love to, we at least planned and we wanted to work with them because they would help us not just with capital and also with the expertise they bring in. And also many a times as an entrepreneur in the early stages, strategic investors are a third option because you know your customers and customers know you, and many a times they would like to invest in you either through their VC funds or through their incubation funds. Sometimes it is good to align with a customer of your choice because once you start working with them, the problem fit which you need becomes faster. And the strategic investor should also be somebody who adds value to what you are doing, and I think that's the journey we believe is very important. In Numocity's case, for us as a strategic investor in the early stage, ABB Technology Ventures was an extremely good partner. As a lead investor, Ideaspring Capital brought the experience of working on B2B products, and we also had Rebright partners who brought us market access across Asian markets. So our choice of early stage investors were looking at who can help us in our journey and who can play complementary roles, because each one added their own value in our journey. And I think that's very important for every entrepreneur to think not to raise capital from anybody, but choose your investors wisely. It should be the same way how the investors choose you through their own due diligence process. As an entrepreneur, you need to also have your own checklist and due diligence to find out which investors will add value to you in your journey and who will also be of a long-term partner who will always be able to guide you in whatever you do going forward too. As an entrepreneur, when you start a company, you have multiple thoughts in your mind. One, of course, is to start the journey and see how you want to be successful. Now, this criteria of success varies from entrepreneur to entrepreneur, varies from startup to startup. So, usually a lot of success criteria are to say, can I actually grow very fast? Some startups have a criteria of I want to grow to a large company and have an IPO and an exit. Some are looking at how can I get scale very fast and provide a kind of a financial exit to entrepreneur and all the stakeholders involved. So each startup has its own goal, each startup has its own journey as to where to start, when to exit. So both are very important questions, and that is something a startup entrepreneur has to define and has to keep in mind. Now, each company creates value at different stages. If you are an early stage startup, you are creating certain value for your customers and also for yourself. And in this journey, as an entrepreneur, you will realize, knowing the market condition, knowing what customers are, what is the point at which you want to have that exit. You should remember that every startup has all the stakeholders. Stakeholders are customers, entrepreneurs, the team, and the financial investors, and all the other partners who are associated with you. So you need to keep in mind when are you going to create not just value for customer or a financial value, it should also be a value for everybody involved. So this question, once an entrepreneur keeps in mind, it becomes extremely easy to take a call, because for some startups, getting the market access and getting the growth is very important, and that could come by being acquired by another larger player who gives you that access. For some, a large capital infusion is a need. If you are looking at a B2C space, you need larger capital infusion to be able to grow. If you are in a B2B space, you need not capital infusion but a market access. So this is a choice an entrepreneur has to make as to when you want to make that exit. As Numocity, we are a B2B platform, and for us one of the critical areas is market access and customer access, and that's where we really looked at our investors and our players who can give us that access. And being part of a larger entity is much more valuable to create value for all the stakeholders than being only an isolated player trying to run in the market.